He thought the world was against him, every door closed, every dream crushed, until he realized the real enemy was his own mind. Ethan Carter sat alone in his cramped apartment, the dim light of a flickering bulb casting shadows on the peeling walls. At 32, life felt like a losing battle. His job as a warehouse clerk was a dead end, his bank account was perpetually empty, and his girlfriend, Sarah, had walked out 6 months ago, calling him a black hole of negativity. Ethan didn't argue. Deep down, he believed she was right. Nothing ever went his way. His boss overlooked him for promotions, his friends drifted away, and every plan he made seemed to crumble. "Why does life hate me?" he'd mutter, staring at the ceiling each night. Ethan's mind was a storm of blame and despair. He blamed his parents for not supporting his dreams, his co-workers for stealing his ideas, and the world for being unfair. Every morning, he woke expecting the worst. A late bus, a rude customer, another rejection. His thoughts were a broken record. "I'm not good enough. I'll never make it. Why even try?" This lens of negativity colored everything. When a colleague invited him to a networking event, Ethan scoffed. "They'll just ignore me." When Sarah had begged him to open up, he snapped, "You wouldn't get it." His fear of failure kept him stuck, and his self-doubt grew like weeds, choking out hope. The cost was heavy. Ethan's isolation deepened as friends stopped calling. Opportunities slipped through his fingers. A job interview he skipped because "I'd bomb it anyway." A business idea he never pursued because "it'll fail like everything else." Regret gnawed at him. He'd lie awake, replaying moments he could have seized, relationships he could have saved. At his lowest, Ethan felt like a passenger in his own life, watching it unravel with no control. One rainy evening, Ethan hit rock bottom. His boss passed him over for another promotion, and the sting of rejection sent him spiraling. He stormed home, threw his keys against the wall, and slumped onto the couch. "What's the point?" he whispered, tears burning his eyes. In that moment of silence, something shifted. A dusty book on his shelf caught his eye. The Power of Your Mind, a gift from his late grandmother. He'd never opened it. Desperate for anything to dull the pain, Ethan began to read. The book's words hit like a lightning bolt. Your thoughts shape your reality, change them, and you change your life. Ethan scoffed at first, another self-help cliche. But one question lingered. What if my thoughts are the problem? For the first time, he examined his mind. He noticed how every setback fueled a narrative of failure, how every fear stopped him before he started. It was a revelation. His negativity wasn't just a reaction to life. It was creating his life. Ethan decided to try an experiment. For 1 week, he'd catch his negative thoughts and challenge them. When his mind said, "You'll fail," he'd counter, "I'll learn." When he thought, "No one cares," he'd remind himself, "I'm worth connecting with." It wasn't easy. His old mindset fought back, whispering doubts. But Ethan persisted. He started a journal, writing down 3 things each day he was grateful for: a warm coffee, a kind word from a coworker, the sunrise. Slowly, gratitude replaced resentment. He took small, uncomfortable steps. He apologized to Sarah, not expecting forgiveness, but wanting to own his mistakes. To his surprise, she listened, and though they didn't reconcile, the conversation lifted a weight. Ethan signed up for an online course in graphic design, a passion he'd abandoned years ago. When fear crept in, "You're too old to start over," he replaced it with, "It's never too late to try." He applied for a better job, not expecting to get it, but refusing to let doubt win. Each action built momentum. As Ethan's thinking shifted, his world began to change. The new job called him back for an interview. He didn't get it, but the feedback was encouraging, and he felt a spark of confidence he hadn't known in years. He reconnected with old friends, sharing his dreams instead of complaints. They noticed his energy, his lightness. One friend introduced him to a small design firm, and Ethan landed a freelance gig. It wasn't much, but it was a start. His apartment, once a symbol of stagnation, became a space of possibility. filled with sketches, books, and plans. Months later, Ethan stood in front of a mirror, barely recognizing himself. He wasn't rich or famous, but he was alive in a way he hadn't been before. His relationships were stronger, his work had purpose, and his heart carried hope. The world hadn't changed, Ethan had. By rewriting his thoughts, he rewrote his reality. The lesson was clear. You don't need a new life. You need a new way of thinking, and everything else will follow. Ethan's story isn't about overnight success. It's about the power of small, deliberate choices. Every thought you challenge, every fear you face, every step you take reshapes your world. The enemy isn't out there. It's in your mind. Change that, and you change everything.